those quarterbacks they want to extend is, well, you know, if you don't take this extension, we can always just wait you out and franchise tag you. And I think now you've got, well, Kirk Cousins got franchise tagged and got nothing but guaranteed money. He's the 13th best quarterback in football, and no quarterback's taken home more cash over the last 6 years, if you include this upcoming season, than Kirk. So that worked out. Dak Prescott got franchise tagged. He's probably the 9th best quarterback in football, and he's going to make $75 million cash this year and never be able to be franchise tagged again. That was the sneaky important part of the deal. So while I think that the Cowboys had to get it done, I actually think the butterfly effect of this is Jerry Jones, I think, put the Ravens, the Bills, and the Browns in a tough spot if any of those quarterbacks want to bet on themselves like Dak did and play hardball, because the franchise tag is not as ominous as it once sounded for quarterbacks if Dak can snap his ankle and they get $126 million essentially fully guaranteed.
Yeah. So I was saying, new rule on the show, you can't ask Aaron Rodgers to beat Brady next year when they're not going to keep Aaron Jones, Corey Tinsley, and couldn't land J.J. Watt. And here's Brady reworking his deal so they can add another star. What do you make? I mean, yesterday it's like Chris Godwin, boom, Levante David, boom, Shaq Barrett, we're working on him. It's like they got a different bank. What do you make of their offseason?
So I think you're asking me about the Packers. If we're asking me about the Bucs, I can answer that later. I guess the Packers.
Let's do the Bucs first. What do you make of their aggressive offseason?
Okay. The only part of the Bucs offseason I don't understand is this. If you could only franchise tag, and you could only franchise tag either Godwin or Shaq Barrett, I'm very surprised they didn't prioritize Barrett, because Godwin feels like more of a luxury to me. You have Mike Evans, Gronk's going to come back, O.J. Howard's going to come back from injury, Cameron Brate's already there, Scotty Miller's there, Tyler Johnson, who had like 9 catches all year but made that unbelievable catch in the playoff game against the Packers. And then Troy said, you know, I talked to Tom about this kid. He said just hadn't been able to find passes for him, but they like him. AB might be back. I thought Godwin was more of a luxury, and I thought Shaq Barrett was more of a necessity. Now, I know there is some belief that Shaq Barrett, you know, they're going to get something worked out. But Shaq Barrett's been in this league 7 years. He was undrafted. His first 4 years in the league, he made a combined $1.9 million. He has 2 rings and $25 million in career total earnings. That strikes me as the type of player that's going to take the most possible money, and he's going to hit the market. So I think it's been a good offseason. The Levante David contract's great, and obviously Brady's helping him with cap flexibility. But, Colin, I'm a little surprised that they're opening the door to Shaq Barrett leaving when their other major pass rushers, I mean, JPP's 31, Ndamukong Suh's 32. Like, I thought they would have tagged Shaq Barrett. So I want to see what happens there. If he signs a long-term deal, then it's an A-plus offseason. If he doesn't, then I do wonder about the Godwin-Barrett decision.
It is, and let's go back to the Packers now, because I do think Aaron Rodgers can be prickly, but he's got to be looking at this thing in New England, or excuse me, in Tampa, and just going, you want me to beat that? We can't even keep Aaron Jones, and I'm supposed to beat that. We won't keep my Pro Bowl center. Is there a solution for Green Bay?
Well, I don't know if it's quite a solution. And the one thing I'll say on Aaron Jones is I think it's possible they do keep him. I think the franchise tag number for running back's $11 million. Maybe they think they can get him for 3 years, $27 million with like 18 guaranteed, something like that. So I don't know if he's quite out the door yet, but they certainly opened the door to him leaving. But I heard you saying, Colin, the Packers need to put on, I think you said some leather pants and unbutton their shirt down to their navel. Yeah. And I don't know if you were being literal or figurative there, but I know a guy they could acquire who I would imagine has some leather pants, and I think very often wears his shirt unbuttoned to the navel. And that's Odell Beckham Jr. You don't want him in Cleveland anymore. No. You got the 28th pick of the draft. You've got Devontae Adams. Odell, this would be what I'm hoping for my friend Odell, the Randy Moss career arc, unbelievable first stop, kind of confusing second stop, and then he finally gets with a superstar quarterback, and he has nails in his third stop. I think Cleveland needs to prioritize their secondary in the draft, and they need to add draft assets to do so. And one other point is the Packers last year spent a first-round pick on a guy they hope never, or Aaron Rodgers hopes never plays. If they this year spent their first-round pick on a guy who's a la Stephon Diggs in Buffalo or DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona could make an instant impact, I think that is the type of move they could make, and I would recommend that they do make. His contract's super reasonable, $14 million per each of the next 3 years, and I think he's available. So I think that's the move that fixes a lot of this for Green Bay. And what would make Uncle Colin happier than OBJ and Aaron Rodgers on the same team? I mean, two of his favorites, all-time players. It would just be beautiful. It would just be great.
I do think OBJ with Aaron, a veteran quarterback, would work. I think OBJ, Eli was shot at the end. Baker's not Aaron. I think Aaron and OBJ, there would be you walk into the room and you're like, you're playing with a Hall of Famer. I think it works. Finally. Washington doesn't have a quarterback. About 5 teams don't. New England doesn't have a, Cam quarterback. Chicago doesn't have. Sam Darnold's out there. Surprised nobody's called. San Francisco doesn't like Garoppolo.
I just love, this is like, I was trying to think about what my Sam Darnold is, and I couldn't quite pinpoint it. I just love the soft spot Colin has for Sam Darnold. I love that Sam Darnold could end up being in the CFL, and Colin's going to be like, I'm going to tell you guys a guy that you should look out for. Sammy Darnold. I don't know if you watched him on Saturday, but you love this guy. And here's what I'll say. I think he's been in a brutal spot. I think he has been in a spot where it is almost impossible to succeed. I am very curious if the Jets are out enough on him to trade him within the division. Because if anywhere, he could rehab things, you would think it would be New England. And you're right that there are a lot of openings, but I don't know a lot of openings where they're going to be patient with a guy. I think New England would be fascinating for him. I also think that the better move for Pittsburgh would have been to just, cut ties with Big Ben. I know it's not what they wanted to do, and they didn't do it. Take a flyer on Darnold, and either you've got your young quarterback or you stink and you end up drafting a quarterback the following year. I don't think let me just throw one thing, and I know we're short on time. Let me ask you real quick, if both are available, who would you rather take a flyer on? Darnold or Jameis? Because I think post-LASIK Jameis is fascinating. I think Jameis with his eyes fixed might actually have something there, and he's available without a trade. Like Jameis, I'm interested in.
It's a good. I'd take Darnold. Maturity with Jameis I thought he was not quite there. But I've also said this. He was hella productive. It's never been a production issue for him. He throws for a zillion yards. Every other pass is a pick six. That was good. No, that was good. That's a good question. A very good job today. Kind of grilling me. I can take it, of course. But I'll rethink my Darnold positions.
You can take it. Who was the owner? Tell America who was the owner. Spill the beans, Colin.
Can't do that.
Who was the owner you were having dinner with?
Cannot divulge. The reason owners have dinner with me is they trust me. Very trusted in NFL circles.
Yeah, and you pick up the tab.
That I didn't.
See you.
Nope, didn't even reach for the Amex card. Didn't even make an attempt at it. Good stuff with Nick Wright. Yeah, I usually am. I like to, pay occasionally. I didn't even, seriously.
If you're at dinner with a billionaire.
That's what I said. M one thing, B another.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
He made, during dinner, probably another $1 billion.
I've made it an effort to not offer to pay for dinner. I do that too often, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a topic in itself.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we're playing one of my favorite games. We play it once a year, top of the hour. It's the high-low game.
Oh, okay.
It's rot with trouble. It's the herd. Yeah, I didn't even make